From unsolved mysteries to unexplained phenomena, from comedy gold to relationship fails, Amazon Music's got the most ad-free top podcasts, included with Prime. Because the only thing that should interrupt your listening is, well, nothing. Download the Amazon Music app today.
This podcast is supported by Talkspace.
When my husband came home from his military deployment, readjusting was hard for all of us. Thankfully, I found Talkspace.
Talkspace provides professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatric providers online. Military members, veterans, and their dependents ages 13 and older can get fast access to providers, all from the privacy of their computers or smartphones.
I just answered a few questions online, and Talkspace matched me with a therapist. We meet when it's convenient for me, and I can message her anytime. It was so easy to set up, and they accept TRICARE. Therapy was going so well, my husband and I started seeing a couples therapist through Talkspace too.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, including TRICARE. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com/military. Go to Talkspace.com/military to get started today. That's Talkspace.com/military.
You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lou Need, and today I have a phenomenal guest here today, and he's going to talk about some things that you would think are supernatural, and I'm elated because he is that kind of a guy. His name is Logan Christopher, and he is the modern-day strongman known for extreme feats like juggling flaming kettlebells and pulling, get this, fire trucks by his hair. Okay, so he is the co-founder of Lost Empire Herbs. He has dedicated to advancing natural hormone support through performance herbalism and ancient health wisdom. So after a personal journey of his that kind of helped boost his athletic performance and seek natural health solution following his mom's passing. So Logan has helped thousands achieve peak physical and mental performance just doing what he does. And we're going to find out how he does it. So with no further ado, Logan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Yes, it's my absolute pleasure. Go ahead and share with us how this transition took place. How did you become this influencer in this space?
Right. It's a long story, but to give the Cliff Notes sort of version is I'm not naturally strong or athletic. Like I was a very scrawny kid in my youth and in high school. But shortly when I entered adulthood, I started to find out about bodyweight exercises, which led into kettlebells. And this was the thing for me that is like, oh, I can start to excel with this. I learned how to set goals and go after things and progress with what I was doing. So I just sort of fell in love with it. And specifically for me, I was reading a biography of an old time strongman. So a guy back in the vaudeville era that would do performances. He'd literally bite through nails and bend all kinds of crazy metal. And I read this biography and for whatever reason, I was like, I want to do that. So then I kind of sought out a few of the strongmen that were around today. It's mostly a dying art. Most people haven't heard of a strongman before, where it's really more performance-based as opposed to the competition stuff that you may see on ESPN, which both are great, but just a little bit different forms of working with strength. So I just gradually, I started out not strong or not athletic, but year after year, as I continued focusing on these things, suddenly I got to the point, or not so suddenly, that I could do some pretty crazy feats of strength. Like you mentioned, juggling the kettlebells. And, this is from 35-pound ones up to I've juggled 106 in different ways. I one time lit one on fire and juggled that around my body. I had the hair, and this was something that the mighty Adam had done before, is pulling vehicles by his hair. So I was like, I'll give that a shot, and ended up pulling an antique fire truck that weighed 8,800 pounds. So it really was just a matter of keep moving along, being consistent with what I was doing. One of the feats of strength that I'm working on right now is to tear a deck of cards in half, but not just one deck, because I've been doing that for years, but to tear two decks at the same time, which is exponentially harder. Let me just put it that way. And I'm closing in on that goal right now.
Oh my goodness, that good for you. That is a feat indeed. And we're talking about things that would seem magical and surreal that you are able to do. Let's talk about some of the mechanics. And I know a lot of it, as you said, is muscle training that kind of gets you there. In particular, how in the world do you able to pull a truck by your hair without whipping those things out?
Yeah. So once you understand that all training, all fitness really is about progression. So it's like, I could do 10 reps today. Can I get 11 the next time that I train? Or can I add 5 pounds to the bar, whatever it happens to be. And this applies even to something as crazy as ripping a deck of cards in half or pulling a vehicle by your hair. So you have to learn the technique involved in these things, right? So there's technique involved in ripping a deck of cards in half. There's technique in doing a push-up or a squat or a sit-up, any of these exercises. You want to learn that technique, then it's about applying yourself. And over time, your body is adapting to the response and getting stronger with it. So for pulling the fire truck, I started with smaller vehicles and I gradually kind of worked my way up with some bigger vehicles. I pulled uphill. There's different ways of working with the progression. Now, I don't recommend this. It is painful. I had chunks of my hair rip out at times. Like, this isn't something I do on an average sort of workout. In fact, I haven't pulled a vehicle in quite some time. But if you pull a fire truck once, you can still be talking about it years later. And a second thing I'll say is that it's less about muscles than most people think it's about. Like, the fitness crowd as a whole tends to think about muscles because that's one thing you can kind of look at, and then cardiovascular health. Obviously, these two are important, but if you are aiming to do some of these seemingly superhuman things, and I say seemingly because it actually is within human capability to do this stuff. Anyone, if they put their mind to it, if they do the right kind of training, could actually get to the point of doing some stuff along these lines. But an important component of this is thinking about the other tissues in your body. So this includes tendons and ligaments and the bones and how these are involved. And then the nervous system as well. The nervous system is what fires the muscles in the first place. And so I've been a big proponent of mental training, which involves things like goal setting, visualization, anchors, hypnosis, a wide range of tools, and really applying this. As I said in the beginning, as I wasn't naturally strong or athletic, like, this stuff didn't come easy to me. So as I was seeking to excel at it, I was looking in these different fields, like, where can I find other tools that will help me along? So that led me into things like hypnosis, like neuro-linguistic programming, and a wide variety of other things, including the herbs, really to support that performance in the first place.
Yeah, to bolster your ability to actually get it done. And you tapped into almost a holistic approach to it, right? You got the mental, you got the psyche, the physical, and then you went internal. You're like, we're talking about hormone now. And so you talk about going beyond conventional science when it comes to hormonal health. Let's tap into that for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a way that I approach things. I really try to look at it in that holistic manner. And this is whether we're looking at health or we're looking at performance, which I really kind of see as flip sides of the same coin. So yeah, I do want to focus on the physical, and there's a whole bunch of things looking at that. And that really, if we're talking about physical training, that's where most people focus on. And even though everyone's heard things like 90% of the game is mental, very few people have techniques and processes of taking that out of this vague idea and into some actual, like, specific, here's exactly what you do in order to increase it. So one of the things that I got into while looking into this was hormones, specifically for men. Testosterone is well known one. Testosterone is also important for women. They may have 1/10 the amount, but it's actually just as critical as it is to men. And some women have too high of testosterone, but many have too low as well. And of course, there's estrogen, there's progesterone, DHEA, all kinds of other hormones as well. It's really quite complicated when we're going down into the various chemicals in the body. So I do love science. I think it's a great approach to everything. And science as a lens of looking at the world is flawed. One, it's just kind of reductive in this way. There's complexity science where you're looking at more of a systems approach. So that helps there. But even just focusing on the physical without really having consciousness involved really does leave some things on the table. So with the hormones, again, you can take a full approach. Just exercising in the right way is going to help optimize your hormones. Sleep is very important. Obviously, diet, and there are herbs and various other practices that can also help to optimize these regardless of your age. The thing that we're facing right now population, unfortunately, is with the pervasive use of endocrine disrupting chemicals. This is like bisphenol A, BPA, that's found in many plastics. And unfortunately, if you have something BPA free, they may have just replaced it with BPS or BPF, which have some of the same effects. Phthalates, all kinds of different chemicals that are used in our food supply, in our water, in skincare. And unfortunately, a lot of these are having very toxic effects on the system. And it's not so much that it's like you're poisoned acutely right now, but chronically over time, this is a thing that leads to many different chronic diseases can pop up 10, 20 years down the line. Just the subtle and chronic cascade of these hormones that get into us from our environment that our body may not be able to handle completely. The human body is great at detoxing, but we can definitely help support these systems and support it in a variety of ways to ensure that we are healthy going into old age.
And then that's just build up over the years, right? We're talking about microplastics, like things you're not even aware of ingesting. Like there's a crazy study that babies are ingesting 16 million of the microplastics per day from bottles. Mm-hmm. And it's just lack of awareness, but it is just the packaged food, the things we store our foods in. It is all toxins all over us that we're ingesting, and it's slowing down the body for sure. I can see your point on there. Let's talk about the, because you have Lost Empire herbs, right? Let's talk about the remedy that you've put in place for this.
Yeah, so a thing that I found along my journey in supporting my performance was that there are herbs out there that can support basically any area of health, any area of performance. So for me, it was like, I want to be better at working out and have a better performance there. So I found one of the first herbs I worked with was the cordyceps mushroom. And this, I took it, I noticed more energy in my workouts. I noticed my breathing was easier when I was snatching kettlebells. And from that first moment, I was hooked and kind of went deeper and deeper down the pathway. And of course, there's thousands of herbs across the world, and working with them can be very complex. But an idea that I kind of first got started with was from the Taoist philosophy of herbs. And that is, they would classify herbs into three different categories. The inferior herbs, these were used to really treat disease, even though you can't quite treat disease with herbs in the modern Western world. The middle or general class of herbs was kind of in between the inferior, and then the third one was the superior herbs. And these were ones that would support your health and just working toward this idea of radiant health, health beyond danger, where you're healthy, where you're not getting sick, you're not having the issues that most people are having, and you can just kind of keep going along with this pathway further and further. Of course, the Taoists were going for immortality, and it's my belief we're going to die at some point, right? So making peace with that. But for me, it's much more than longevity. I'm looking after health span instead of the lifespan. Although that's important, that's going to be a side effect. It's about, how much energy do I have? How much drive do I have? How good am I feeling in my day-to-day life that allows me to perform at these different levels? And can we support that in different ways? So I'll mention one of the herbs, the number one seller at my company, Lost Empire Herbs, is pine pollen. This is literally the pollen of pine trees, and it is pretty unique in that it is a source of phytoandrogens. So many people have heard of phytoestrogens, which are going to mimic the estrogen in the human body. And some of these can definitely have some positive effects, but because many of the endocrine disrupting chemicals are xenoestrogenic and disrupting it quite a bit more, I do think there's a point of getting like too many of these. On the flip side, we can balance this out using some of the phytoandrogens, which can really support testosterone, support DHEA, which is the anti-aging hormone, support these in a variety of ways. So many people, my customers and many elsewhere have found that this is very helpful for supporting the hormone system. Again, I got 70 and 80-year-old customers that are saying, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. So that's the power that these herbs can actually have and bring to you in an all-natural sort of way.
Yeah, which is in line with your book, right? The mental muscle, and that is powered by nature, because there's power in these plants and power in these herbs. And what I love about what you do is you're not trying to build athletes, NBA players, NFL players. You're really saying in your daily life, can you get up energized? Can you get up feeling strong to take on the day? Be it your mom and have kiddos you're running after. Be it that you're 80 years old and you want to keep walking and kind of keep your agility. Like what you're doing is like saying the average Joe, there is a remedy, there's a solution. There are these herbs out here that are from plants, from the earth, and that can actually help you with vitality, that can help you live longer and stronger and actually just enjoy your day on a daily basis. And I agree because I'm from Haiti and we live off the land, and these plants you're mentioning are grown out, and we're able to use them and make tea. And then any illness that you may have some tea, and then
Right.
it's a cure for everything. Western cultures as well as like in Africa as well. So you're onto something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's only in the past 100 years in Western society in general that we've kind of gotten rid of using herbs. They always were a part of our natural diet and something that we use. It's something that even animals are using out in nature. So it's a really important. And a thing I like to point out for people is because we're so often stuck in our frame of thinking, it's hard for us to kind of see out of that. So the thing I would like people to do is on a scale of 1 to 10, how much energy do you have on average throughout your day? And we need to go ahead and throw out a number for us on this.
Yeah, I'm an early riser. I work out, I meditate, and I do take lion's mane. And so I am at a 6 to 7
Yes.
energy wise.
Yes. And yeah, definitely a morning routine, I think, is an important part of this. So I'm right on there. But what I like to say to people is that this scale actually goes to 20. So your number is what your number is, but that is how much further your vibrancy, your vitality actually can be. And of course, herbs aren't the only tool for that. There's a wide range of tools. And again, I like to look at things holistically, but this is I would say, missing piece of the puzzle for many people, just because we have kind of forgotten about the natural world as science has really sought to slay and overcome the natural world. It has some downstream negative consequences of that viewpoint.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And then for your book, let's talk about the biggest impact it's having on readers, because you have that natural spin to it.
Yeah. So you mentioned 2 books there. Mental Muscle, that's really about the mental training side of things for fitness. So anyone interested in that, I would seek that out. The Empowered by Nature. This was a book that came out of me traveling down to the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador and worked with some of the people there, the Achuar, spent some time with the shamans. And really, it's a long story, so I won't get into the details, but that is fully shared in the story. But I came out of the jungle with this idea, this calling that I was to be an emissary of nature. And what that means is someone that would come out and kind of preach this word and kind of spread this further out there. Now, I was certainly already doing this work with the herbs, but this was the next step. And the whole philosophy, what the book is about, is the idea that our health and our performance have been declining as society as a whole, just as we have removed ourselves more and more from nature. Now, again, there certainly are reasons that we have done that, and there are certainly some advances that are useful. But by the fact that we are not breathing fresh air because we're indoors all the time, we're scared of sunlight and slathering sunscreens, which has some of those endocrine disrupting chemicals on us, because we think that is actually a danger to us. And of course, there's a point of too much, but most people could stand to get a lot more sunlight. We don't have that connection, the actual physical and electrical connection to the earth by getting grounded and barefoot in the earth outside. So going through step by step and looking at these different things, and here's where the problems are. Here are the simple solutions where we just become more aligned with nature as a whole, but our human nature as well. Regardless of whether you think we evolved or God appointed us or however it got there, we are part and parcel of nature. So by seeking to get in alignment with this, then it helps to restore our health. It helps to enhance our performance that we can then direct in different ways, whether that's athletic or in our work, wherever we want to go. So that's the philosophy of the book, and it takes you on a deep dive in there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much, because getting sunlight is free. Walking barefoot is free. Kids can teach us a lot, right?
Yeah.
Just getting out and playing with nature is free. But I agree with the sunscreen ordeal, just lathering it up, protecting from cancer and all that. But you're also, causing, you're depriving yourself of something else as well.
A lot of those chemicals are cancer causing too, unfortunately, and vitamin D is one of the best things. And vitamin D is not the only thing the sun provides either, right? That's something that our science often narrows in on a single thing and kind of misses the forest for the trees.
Yeah, well put. Tell us about some of the things you apply in the morning. How do you get up, dress up, and show up to kind of, do what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've definitely been very intentional about a morning routine for Yeah, wow, a couple decades now. And definitely over the years, it's constantly moving and morphing. I like to think of this idea of like flexibility within structure. So I'm always doing a morning routine, and some parts of that are always there, but other parts I'm playing around with and kind of rotating over time. So my morning starts with I often drink coffee, not all the time. Sometimes I'll do some cacao, but usually mixing those with herbs. And I like to really do more of the yin supportive herbs. So these are more restorative. This includes things like chaga mushroom and hoshu wu. Those are two of my favorites that I'm taking basically every day. So I take that, then I go down and I sit in my infrared sauna. At this point, I'm not cranking up the heat because I don't actually get too sweaty. I kind of use the infrared sauna, but it's just more of a location anchor for me. This is just where I do the routine. And I start journaling. I will write down my dreams and analyze them, kind of get some perspective on that. And then I just write whatever projects I'm working on or problems. I just am writing a page in my journal. And from there, I go into some sort of meditative practice or breathing practice or combination of those, sometimes some energy work. These are, again, this is a part where I kind of rotate over time what I'm doing, but usually involves one or all of those different elements in it. And after I've done this routine, which takes about an hour in total, then I'll start work for the day. And I wake up, right now I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning, which is, I have slowly gotten earlier and early over time, but this gives me like a good 2 hours before my 6-year-old daughter and my wife wake up. So I have time for myself for this morning routine and to do some of my work, which typically involves writing in the morning before I get up and help the family out. So getting up early allows me to do all those things, the most important things in my day for me personally, as well as work-wise, before I get started in helping the family and get the girl off to school before going back to work later in the day.
Yeah, you've had to adjust, and different seasons in your life. Like you said, you've been doing it for over 2-3 decades now. Different seasons in your life allow you to kind of modify it to see how it fits, but it doesn't have to be the same as long as you have something that you know will actually prime you for the day, right? It could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour. And for you, it's getting up 2 hours early. And for me as well, I'm up at 3:30, 4 a.m. because I have a 5 a.m. workout class. But that's because when I come back home at 6:15, daughter, my 2-year-old's up, so is my husband, and therefore the day is no longer mine, because then business starts taking in podcast episodes, you name it. So it's best to actually do that first thing in the morning when you have the willpower, because that's a real thing. Like, willpower is not at will. You cannot pull at it and says, willpower, come here now, let's work. It does not. Like, you have to know how to hone it in, how to use it, capitalize it when it is present. And it's usually the highest in the morning. You make the best decisions then.
I have a saying, if you're trying to use willpower to do something, you're doing it wrong. Because for me, it's willpower is a finite resource, and it has its time and place. But what we want to do is set up habits, right? And a morning routine, right? Once you get into the flow of it, it is a habit. It's automatic. Like, you don't need to use willpower. I would have to use willpower to not do my morning routine, right? To not do some of the best stuff for me physically and psychologically as well. That's the power of habit. And there are ways of really working at that don't take so much willpower. You often need a little bit of willpower to prime the pump in the beginning. But once you're going, the intrinsic rewards of something like a morning routine should take over and really help you out.
Logan, I love the way you said that, because I've had tapped into my willpower to convince myself not to go to the gym. It's like, well, I'm tired. I got a cold. If I go running, it's only going to make it worse. My hormones, my system is compromised. That's willpower kind of talking me out of what is already in nature, naturally happening, habitual, that I can't do anything else. And so the habits, they say you first create them and then they create you, right? Yeah. So that's what really takes place, because I know if I don't work out, the whole day is going to change. The energy, the vibe of the day is going to change. I'm not going to be the same person. And so the habits are in place where I don't think about it. 4 a.m. comes, I don't even need an alarm clock anymore. It's just like, we're up, we're ready. What's next? And so you said it well, because sometimes willpower will that conversation in your head will say, maybe not today. Maybe we won't do that today. And by the time you finish that thought, your feet are all the way on the floor. Your shoes are already on.
Right. Yep. And there's a time and place to listen to your body. So, there's a time for, willpower, getting to the gym every single day, like setting that habit in the first place. But then I'm also a big proponent, like listening to your body. Like if it needs a day of rest, you take that day of rest, right? You don't want to mind over muscle has its place, but it also has a downside to it as well. So I'm always looking at these different things. And so everything that's powerful, a habit can be great unless it's keeping you stuck in some place and you actually need to kind of break that habit, maybe use your willpower to do that and change it in some ways that helps you at this point in your life much better than, it may have been the best thing ever to get you to where you wanted to go, but now it needs some refinement to make it a little bit better.
I would expect you to say that. Nothing less coming from you, Logan, because you're advocating for herbal and healing and natural healing. And so performance, and you're really tapping into, there is that need to rest and that need to heal. And so, yes, healing component, and I agree with you, is important in this aspect because you got to keep the body showing up again, right? Peak performance. So you got to rest. You go to the gym, you work out, you're breaking muscles, you're failing at the gym so that you can rebuild. And so that does require the proper herbals, the proper nutrients, the proper enzymes to absorb those nutrients, but also the proper rest for those muscles to rebuild. And so, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and our routine can definitely involve both of these, more that like active driving things, whether that's working out or working, right? But we need the rest as well. So really, it's good for me, the morning routine, I did for many years, and I go back and forth in this, have my workout in the morning, again, liking to have that. But as it works right now, like around afternoon time is working better for me. So again, it's what's going on in your life, the environment, the different factors, and really understanding those and like taking that in to really make the best choices at the time, and then adapting your habits as you need to.
Accordingly, to the season of your life, to what's happening. Again, she's right here. Big one is kids,
Yep.
and then businesses and entrepreneurship. And as a health business, successful business man, you know how it is to run a business and what it takes. It's almost like your baby. Yep. It's gonna change. It's gonna grow. It's gonna have different demands. Are you fundraising, or is there inventory, or you it varies. And because of that, you actually need to adjust your routine. But the self-care does come in. It needs to be in. It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say having children is probably the number one thing that's going to force you to grow. Having a business would be number two after that. They're definitely extremely demanding, but extremely rewarding as well.
Absolutely. Right. That's why we do it. Right. So the entrepreneur mindset and also parenting. Logan, tell me, where can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
Absolutely. The websites, if you're interested in the strength and fitness side of thing, that would be legendarystrength.com. For the herbs, lostempireherbs.com. And there's a wealth of information there. So go and head on there. You'll find lots of details about the herbs, but also holistic healing as well. As far as social media, I'm on most of the platforms, Lost Empire Herbs or Instagram. Strongman Logan is one place you can find me.
Strongman Logan with over 30,000 followers and growing by the day. So it's been such a pleasure and honor speaking with you and sharing minds with you this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I was surprised to see someone's actually dedicating a podcast just to the morning routine. It's been like such a impactful thing in my life. So kudos to you for doing that.
Yes, absolutely. I love this stuff so much. Logan, thank you so much again for coming.
All right. Have a nice day.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time.
Hey, this is Dan Harris, host of the 10% Happier podcast. I'm here to tell you about a new series we're running this September on 10% Happier. The goal is to help you do your life better. The series is called Reset. It's all about hitting the reset button in many of the most crucial areas of your life. Each week, we'll tackle a topic like how to reset your nervous system, how to reset your relationships, how to reset your career, We're going to bring on top-notch scientists and world-class meditation teachers to give you deep insights and actionable advice. It's all delivered with our trademark blend of skepticism, humor, credibility, and practicality. 10% Happier is self-help for smart people. Come join the party.